pick up guns. I still remember I had a discussion with someone online, and he said Congolese should go to Russia and get some AK-47 and fight. You know, you can't just let your women being raped. And my question to him was, have you done any study to find out if Congolese actually have done that? And he felt so upset. For some reason, he responded, he didn't know who I was. He said, you sound like one of those intellectual, you're probably white, and saying these things. And I had to step back to actually let him know what I was saying. I said, well, I'm not white. If you ask me, I'm actually Congolese. Congolese picked up guns before. And even now, there is a group called the Mai Mais in eastern Congo. They've been fighting since the beginning of the war. Do you know what the problem with that is? They don't have the resources to fight, right? So guess what they're going to do? They're even also preying on the civilians. So even the people who had the genuine spirit of actually even protecting the people, right, are also committing the crimes that's taking place. That the civil society in the Congo, they are very clear. This is why they forced the rebels to sit down at the table during the peace accord in 2002 to say, let's stop this. They pushed for a resolution, but who influenced it again? I have to go back again to the United States. William Swing, a U.S. ambassador at the time. The Congolese say this, we don't want anybody in the transitional government who have blood on their hands to be in our government. Guess what William Swing said? Well, let's take the 4 top rebels and make them vice president and Kabila as the president. That's not what the Congolese people call for. So in terms of what they want to see to protect the people, they say, all of them, they say, we want peace. We know where the weapons come from. They cross the border. If you can put pressure on the neighbors to be partner for peace, we know these rebels will not continue to rape, kill, loot the minerals. Because when they loot it, regardless of what rebel militia, they take it to Kigali, they take it to Kampala. No matter what militias in the east doing those killings. So they're saying, well, we picked up guns, it didn't work. We tried to work on political level, it's not working. So let's get partners to put pressure on U.S. allies. Who's funding them? Here. So if that space, right, pressure is put on these nations, that's where the weapons come from, that's where the support comes from, it gives them space to deal with the internal challenges that they have because they still have to deal with Kabila, they still have to deal with the government to try to change it democratically. So that's the prism. So we can talk about self-defense. We have people who are doing that. We can talk about arming people. We have people who are doing that. We don't believe that the solution in the Congo will be in a military way. We believe by putting pressure on the negative forces around the Congo, the people on the ground are already fighting, and that will give them the space to address the other issues that they have.
We'll take 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Tendonzong Chutezo, and I'm originally from Central Africa, and also the president of the African Association of Georgia. Mine is not really, I'll have a little question at the end, but also to provide a few elements of support to the answers that the panel gave, and you know, throw in a few ideas. But before that, I want us to understand that also one of the ways to fight against these things that are happening, these genocides and all of that, is awareness. And not only awareness on one subject, but while we are holding on one subject, awareness on what is going on. And even now, do you know one of the worst genocides that are coming are actually happening right now in the Ivory Coast? Less than 2 weeks ago, we had about 800 people murdered in one day. And these are people who are murdered with the benediction of the United States, France, and other imperialist forces. And Mr. Morris talked about, about advocacy, and also Mr. Kibale about, putting pressure from where the source of all of this, that is something very important. And so I also want to encourage everybody to look at the various, excuse me, please, to look at the various source advocacies that are going on now to support it online, like Maurice mentioned. And for the Ivory Coast, there's another one going on online, which was introduced by Senator Jim Inhofe, of a Republican from Oklahoma. And I would like to forward that to the email list that we have here from everybody, to call the senators and call the foreign policy, and make a point. So we have to act and act now, start stamping out everything that is, going on now, while we keep focus on, the biggest of all, which is, the crisis in the Congo. One other pathetic thing is that people of our community, we are very much prone to the Democratic Party. And I think that is very important in stopping what is going on, because whenever there's a Democrat in power, it means disaster for Africa. Yeah. So the Republicans don't seem to be too concerned about Africa as the Democrats. So we, being much more sympathetic towards the Democratic Party, I think we can better influence the Democratic Party, to have an iota of, have that a grain of humanitarian, Pan-Africanism in them, awareness to stop this genocide. So we have a big role really to play. Well, so on that note, I'll just basically stop here, since we have time problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have come to a close of this particular part of the program. Let us put our hands together for all of the presenters. Thank you. All right.
Can I just really underscore what she said? Because Cynthia McKinney was the greatest champion in the Congo had, and she's no longer in Congress. So it's so important to have a champion in Congress, because what, as a congressperson, what they can do is bring you in front of them. Yeah. To inquire as to what your actions are in the country. One of the probably the most important hearing that's held on the Congo over the last decade was one held by Cynthia McKinney, where she, in 2001, I believe it was, where she brought people in front to testify and lay out what's taking place in the Congo. So you're right, that's so important for us to vote, and also to reach out to our congresspeople. They're not expecting to hear from you about the Congo. So it's so important for you to reach out to them. And please visit our website, friendsofthecongo.org. We have information on there that where you can connect to your congresspersons. We have the bills